What up team, welcome back to the channel. It's been quite an eventful few weeks since I got my 4090. I've ended up having quite a few stability issues, which were seemingly caused by driver incompatibilities, but in hindsight it ended up being caused by my motherboard having outdated support for PCI Express 4.0, further exacerbated by there having not been any BIOS or driver updates since April this year. This was only found out after multiple clean driver reinstallations. I also temporarily switched to the studio driver instead of the game ready driver, just in case there was more stability there. However, the results were the same. Game crashes were regular. Also updated my BIOS, but as mentioned before, the latest BIOS was dated in April this year. Unfortunately, it was very old. Windows was also reinstalled, which I wish I hadn't actually done in hindsight. It made multiple settings changes as well. System power, GPU power scheme, resizable bar, and others in the BIOS, as well as various Windows settings that I can't remember now. What fixed it in the end was setting the motherboard PCI Express setting to use 3.0 instead. This has come at a significant reduction in performance, therefore more hardware changes are afoot, but I'll hold off on that for now because there are some tweaks necessary to see whether my current hardware is actually behaving better after today, since I have stability now. Which brings me on to today's video. I'm going to be upgrading the game ready driver from 525.25 to 526.47, which was released on the 27th of October. I'm hoping for even more stability. Previously, all games using RayTracing were crashing after a few minutes, with a driver exception. I've popped a link below to some Reddit posts. As part of this, I'm keen to do some testing to compare the drivers. Points of interest for me are differences in frames per second, temperatures, fan speeds, and power draw. What will make this interesting is that I'll be testing all of these things using the following power limits: 90%, 100% being stock, and 133%. There's a lot of interest in the community at the moment regarding how much power is being drawn. I wanted to try to quantify it, though I'm not sure I'm actually going to understand the results. Now, caveats here. Touched on having to run my rig in PCIe 3 mode. I know it's slow. I know it's not going to be top tier performance. I'm not interested in that. I want to see the differences between driver versions for other people like me, sitting here with non-perfect rig configurations and glaring issues, to get an idea whether or not it's actually worth upgrading immediately upon release of a new driver version. To do this, I chose 4 tests that interested me, all using RayTracing. Cyberpunk 2077, version 1.6, latest version of Forza Horizon 5, both from Steam, 3D Mark Port Royal, and I found a RayTracing benchmark called Pure. I'll put a link to it below, it's actually quite cool, check it out. Each test was run at all 3 power limits. I then booted to safe mode to do a clean removal of driver 525.25. Then I installed the new version, 526.47, as well as the GeForce Experience. Then I reran all tests, and I've spent a couple of days collating all the results and putting together this video. So, without further ado, let's take a look at some settings and get on to the results. Cyberpunk was set at the Ultra preset, and then RayTracing was set to Psycho. Quality DLSS. Forza Horizon was set to Ultra, with RayTracing settings set to High. There is no DLSS. Port Royal was set to the default settings. However, quality was increased to High, and the pure RayTracing benchmark was run in usual settings. There's not a lot of customization in this benchmark, however it is still under active development, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in future. And my use case is only to get the difference between the 2 drivers, not outright performance. I'll leave you with some beats while we take a look at the results, then I'll come back for a summary. found these results quite interesting. There's a clear performance bump going from 525 to 526, but it's not always clear cut. I'll touch on that in a sec. Where I did see significant differences was the reduction in power draw. Nvidia have clearly been optimizing, but again, it's not always clear cut. Confusing even when tests have wildly different deltas at the same limits. Also noticeable in fan max RPM results. One takeaway is that in almost all tests, there's pretty much no need to increase power limits over stock. Negligible reductions in relative with 526.47 appears to be better than stock, and even 133% in some instances. That's optimization, I guess. Thanks for watching. Please let me know your thoughts below. Until next time, catch you on the flip side.